Hello and welcome to That Man. That is me merchandise, and today we are talking about manga. More specifically, 10 great series to get you either into collecting or potentially some new series that you may not have checked out so far. Thank you very much for coming, and if you do enjoy this kind of content, please leave a like, please consider subscribing. Now, I have been collecting manga for around 15 years. I kind of went in it, I dropped out of it, and yeah, so there's a reason kind of why I jumped in and out is the fact that I bought manga all the time. Unfortunately I was made unemployed and I had to choose between buying manga or eating or sleeping and I kind of realised at that point that most of the manga I had, while I liked them, I didn't need to keep them, and I ended up selling a lot of them. Move on, about 2 or 3 years ago, I then started buying them a little bit here and there, and then last year I got this brand new place, and I just started buying manga. I had the space for manga, and there was a lot of series out that I was watching. There was a lot of series I was enjoying, so I thought, you know what, I'll definitely I'll pick some up. So I'm not going to say this is the definitive list, but these are 10 I personally enjoy and 10 that I feel that if you're new to manga or if you're trying to get back into manga, these are ones that you will probably enjoy. So the first one, number 10 kind of. So number 10 is the one that everybody will point out when you're trying to get into manga. Try one of the big Shonen Jump titles. Yeah, personally I no longer collect Shonen Jump. I no longer collect long run and shonen, and I've discussed that up here. You can have a look at that as another video. But the reason being is that they are very long-winded. If you're starting to collect them, yeah, you might be able to get quite a few, or you might be able to get a full set. For example, Dragon Ball, Bakuman, Assassination Classroom, you can get a full set of them for about 20, 30 volumes. But stuff like One Piece, as amazing as they are, and I would suggest everybody read One Piece at some point, we're now nearly coming up to 100 volumes. Do you have the space for 100 volumes? Possibly not. However, what I would always suggest if you are trying to collect or you were looking into potentially collecting a long run of shonen manga, and this is something I would suggest for anybody who just likes reading manga anyway, is this Shonen Jump app. It costs, well, in the UK it costs about £1.30 per month, and that gives you all of One Piece, all of My Hero Academia, all of Naruto, all of Bleach. There's other stuff in here. We've got new stuff. We've got We Never Learn. We've got Tokyo Shinobi Squad, which is a brand new series. We've got Samurai 8, which is the new series from Naruto. We've got plenty of stuff. We've got Kimetsu no Yaiba, it's on at the moment. One Punch Man, it's on at the moment. It's better than season 2 in the anime. Dr. Stone, the next big thing in manga. Yes, it's absolutely perfect. It's digital, and it means that if you're considering collecting a series, you can read the first few volumes and find out if this series is definitely something for you. You don't want to be buying a box set and then get to about 2 volumes in and just say, actually I don't like this. And it's legal. This is one of the things I kind of see. Support your creators. Support the industry. Buy them legal if you can. So if you're looking at buying One Piece, which is a series I would suggest, I would always suggest a long run shonen as a great way to introduce yourself. These are the gateway anime, they are the gateway manga, but possibly not for a collection, at least not straight away. You build into that. You build up, you get a few other series, then you build into something like One Piece or something like that. But in the meantime, the Shonen Jump app on your phone or whatever, it is a perfect equivalent. It is an absolute fantastic service, and I really do recommend it if you are looking at potentially buying and collecting manga on a whole. It gives you a wide scope of stuff, and you've basically got your own little collection right there in your hand. It's another thing as well, Comixology do great deals. Potentially look at some of them before you start buying physical copies and realise you run out of space very quickly. So, number 9, should I be numbering these? Might as well. One of the things I kind of like to see when you're starting or when you're trying to get into stuff is don't potentially go for long running series. I mean, most of the stuff I'm looking at here, we're now into volume 10 plus, and they're still ongoing in Japan. But why not look at some shorter things, some one volumes and done, or some of these omnibus ones. For me, one of the most perfect reasons to pick up a manga is to kind of have that little bit of history, to have a little bit of an intrigue. And one of the series that I absolutely adore is In This Corner of the World. It's a one and done volume. It's a standalone thing from Seven Seas. And this is an absolutely beautiful tale about a woman's life during the outbreak of war on the lead up to the Hiroshima bombing. It's really intriguing. It's pretty dark. It's obviously historical. She's out in the countryside. She's kind of married into this forced arranged marriage. She's not the best at doing everything. She slips up. She makes mistakes. But this is an absolute beautiful series, and I can't recommend it enough. And if you are getting into collecting manga, why not take your chance on some of these one and done series, or where they're 2 or 3 volumes? Because at the end of the day, 2 or 3 volumes, it's easy to collect. You can get the full set quite easily. I mean, when I look at my collection, I've got about 3 series, 4 series, 5 series potentially, where I've actually got the full set. Most stuff is ongoing. So yeah, but yeah, I thought I'd mention this one because that's one I've been getting back to it here and there. Well, it's a fantastic little read, and if you're starting to get into manga, collecting manga, why not check out one of these one and done kind of series? And this one is an absolute fantastic one. I would definitely recommend for people. Number 8, and this one is a series that I have personally adored. It's a series that it came out last year. It came out very early in 2018. I really enjoyed it. It was one of those ones that people kept a hold of for the full year and ranked it as one of the best series for last year. It's so relaxing, and every single time I read this manga, I feel like I'm transported into another world, even though that world is just our world. And because I live in the UK, I have a huge inclination to make use of what's around me, and that is Layback Camp. So far there are 6 volumes out, and it's still ongoing. It's a monthly series, I believe, so once we get to volume 7 or 8, it's going to be very slowed down. This is something that you need to keep in mind with a lot of these ongoing shonen, especially, and a lot of ongoing series. They're getting weekly chapters, so every 2 months there's a new manga being released. Great if you're into collecting, but sometimes you kind of need to realise that you need to come back, you need to slow it down. And stuff like Layback Camp, that's kind of, it's ongoing at the moment, but we're going to hit a point where we're going to get 1 volume every few months, maybe once a year. So, but yeah, it's an ultimate relaxation of a manga. I've read this about 3 or 4 times now, and I absolutely adore it. It's so beautiful. The artwork is absolutely it's one of the most beautiful manga I have ever read, and I don't believe it gets enough love. I feel like it's one of those, it's moe, but I feel like nobody talks about this series. Why does nobody talk about this series? The anime seemed really popular when it came out, and I've had a lot of good feedback on when I've done the Nendroid unboxing. Rinshima is coming, and we do have Nadeshiko up here if you want to see that, because she is the most adorable Nendroid. She is so cute. You can't see it. Backfired. But yeah, this is an absolutely brilliant series, and I would definitely recommend it for those just wanting to get into it, especially if you're in the UK. So I'm looking at you, like Alonzi and On the Shelf and stuff like that, because you're living in the UK, you might adapt to the countryside life, the countryside kind of motif on this, and it might get you. Take some manga and we'll pop down to the lakes for a weekend. But yeah, Layback Camp made me want to go camping again, and to me it's one of those series I would recommend so much for a beginner. It's so relaxing. It's not really perverted, but it's such a great series. I love it. So number 7, speaking of countryside, and this is another one that I absolutely love, and it's one I will be covering quite a lot in the next few weeks, months, because it's one I am now reading, I'm trying to catch up with because I am loving it, and I just bought the anime for it. Anime Limited released the anime, and that is Silver Spoon. Now I did cover this earlier on the channel, but it's one of those ones I'm going to go back to again and again. Check it out, it's absolutely brilliant. It's such a good series. It's about the story of this young man who goes on to an agricultural college. He decides he's going to leave the normal college back. He's getting a bit overworked, he's getting a bit stressed. He thinks agricultural, it'll be a bit easier. The math, the test's only percentage. What he doesn't factor in is that he's a fish out of water. He's kind of like this man who ends up being behind everybody else because everybody else has grew up on farms, and he doesn't know how to look after animals. It doesn't hold any punches either. It's one of those series where it's kind of like, yeah, it's like, just, yeah, animals, they're going to be eating the animals. It lays out that fact, it lays out the fact that animals don't survive. Animals get ill, animals have to unfortunately be put down if they're not, and it's the mentality of a farmer, it's the view from a farmer. It's also written by the same person who did Full Metal Alchemist, and almost everybody I know loves Full Metal Alchemist. Personally, I like this one more. But Full Metal Alchemist is another great one which I do want to pick up in the future. Maybe once I've got a little bit more space. But Silver Spoon in the meantime is absolutely fantastic, and I really do recommend people try and pick this up. It's a great series, and it's amazingly written, and yeah. Number 6, what happens when you catch up with a series on the anime and then you want more, but then there's no more? This is what my personal feeling was with Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and this was such a charming series when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. So I felt I had to pick it up. It is a little bit more pervy, it's a lot more pervy compared to the anime, but yeah, it's still really charming, and it's a really nice read, and it's Yuri, but it's not kind of like, personally, I don't go huge into the romance stuff quite often, but this one was one where I kind of felt it was a nice balance. This is the only romance one I've got physically, because I've got a lot digitally, but this is the one I kind of wanted to show off. It's a nice romance, but it's also a hilarious comedy. It's got a lot of hilarious modern day moments. It's that nice slice of life. If you do want some other great romance ones, personally I would recommend My Love Story and Tokyo Tareba Girls. Both of them, Tokyo Tareba Girls is 9 volumes and is ongoing by Kodansha. I read the whole thing digitally and I'm now considering picking it up. It's a josei, it's adults being adults, which is one of these things. Most of the characters, it's adult life, and that's what links to me a little bit more than their students. Yeah, you do have the cute moe girls and stuff like that, but it is adults being adults. And with this, there is a lot of content. There's 8 main volumes, there's 5 of the Kana's Daily Life spin-off, and there's 1 so far of Elma's Office Lady Diary. So there is a lot of Dragon Maid content. It's a great series, and they're quite thin as well. They fit onto a shelf quite well. And like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about 2/3 of a normal manga volume. You can actually get through them quite quickly. It's great, and I would definitely recommend it if you like your comedy, if you like your over the top, but if you like your sweet down to earth slice of life romance. For me, it's a great must have, but definitely check out My Love Story or Tokyo Tareba Girls as well if you want some other kind of examples for romance. We've talked a lot about manga. Now, if you follow me on the or if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I not only love manga, I love light novels, and yes, I had to sneak a light novel in here, and for me it's got to be the easiest light novel I have read, and probably the most funniest one is easily Konosuba God's blessing on this wonderful world. If you've seen the anime, you know how ridiculous this series is. Horrible people being horrible to each other, but still being that little bit of a kind of, yeah. I was going to recommend ReZero, Overlord of Tanya the Evil, also in the Isekai Quartet, but this one, it's so easy to read, it's so over the top. I personally would recommend it a little bit more. There's 8 volumes, so if you do like the anime, we are quite far ahead of the anime. To put it in perspective, the movie that's coming out is actually volume 5 of the light novel. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It is pervy, but it's not quite as bad as some of the other ones. You don't get the visual. You just get that in the mind. And yeah, I love it. I love this series so much. I need to recommend it to people. But yeah, it's definitely one that I would personally recommend. But light novels on a whole, if you do like manga, definitely try and check them out. Most of your isekai stuff is going to be a light novel. But you also get stuff like Durararara, or what I like to call it Durarararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararararar There's a slime, shield hero, there's a mom isekai, which is it's exactly what you kind of think. And there's a vending machine one where someone gets reborn as a vending machine. There's a wide scope of stuff in light novels, and it's one of those things that you don't really check out as much. If you do want to get into light novels, one of my personal recommendations, again digital, is G-Novel Club. They have a lot of great series on there, including stuff like Full Metal Panic, which is a classic in my opinion. And they've also got some of the upcoming series like If It's For My Daughter, I'd Defeat the Demon Lord on there. There's a lot of great stuff on there, and it's a subscription based one, so if you want to try and get into light novels, maybe try reading a few things on there. It's definitely worth a look into it. But yeah, nothing I like more than actually reading the book compared to manga. And yeah, definitely Konosuba for a starter one. Definitely. So I asked a lot of people what their first manga was, and there was a strange theme in that. For some reason, Monster Musume was an early one, and people were like, I don't recommend it, but then I was like, there was about 3 or 4 people who said it was their first manga, and I'm like, yeah, Monster Musume is a great series, if you're into that kind of thing. It's not for everybody, but if you are interested, and if you're interested in ecchi or hentai, this is a great gateway one. I was going to put Prison School up, but try Prison School. If people are trying to get into anime, I will often lead them down the path that I just like, try these. But then there's also Monster Musume and Prison School if you're into that kind of thing. P.S. If you can enjoy Prison School, then you can pretty much enjoy pretty much anything. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Monster Musume, I like the concept. I really enjoy it. It's not for everyone. But it seemed to be a popular one when people were saying this was my first manga and stuff like that. So I'm just like, sure, why not? Try it out. You might like it, you might not, but don't come crying to me if you don't. Personally, it's a great manga. I like it, but not everybody is. But if you want to get into an ecchi stuff, this one's the one you probably want to be going with, or Dragon Maid. The easy gateway ones in my opinion. So, when we talk about manga, a lot of people would say try out some of the classics. And this one, for me, was one of the classics. Now, we've just seen Devilman Crybaby last year, and it was an amazing series. So I immediately wanted to try out and find the original. Fortunately, 7 Seas made good on that, and we got Devilman Omnibus, the classic collection. These are absolutely fantastic. Look at that. They're absolutely beautiful. And even if you're not sure about collecting, these will look amazing on your shelf. The great starter ones, in my opinion, you're getting a lot of the classics, and they're not for everybody. You do have to be in that kind of classic mindset. But if you're getting back into manga, this might be a little bit more likened to what some of the stuff you've already seen. Or stuff that you've already watched years ago. Any of the classic collections are amazing. They've got Space Captain Harlock, we've got Cutie Honey, and we've got Space Battleship Yamato. All iconic series and all fantastic ones that you will probably enjoy. Personally, out of all of them, I like Devilman the most. I've only read a few chapters, but Devilman is those ones. If you like Berserk, this was the one that kind of inspired a lot of stuff for Berserk. So I'd definitely recommend checking it out. Once you read stuff like this, you realise you kind of are in a perspective of how iconic some of these things are and how things have been knocked on. Same with stuff like Tezuka's Astro Boy or Blackjack, and even One Piece and Dragon Ball. These are kind of considered classics now, and sometimes you kind of want to have a read of the classics just to get a perspective of the modern day stuff. For these, the classic collection are absolutely amazing. They're very well priced as well. I think they're usually you can get them about 15 up to about 20 quid. But yeah, I personally, yeah. This is a series that I have been talking about for quite some time over the last few weeks, and I've been recommending it as one that everybody should read if they want to read manga, if they want to get into manga. If you have a child who wants to enjoy manga, that's one of the genres we don't really think of. If you want to get your child into manga, you may be looking at something like Dragon Ball or One Piece, which got you into manga. But try Yotsuba. This is an absolutely beautiful, hilarious, adorable manga with the eyes of a child, seeing life through Yotsuba's adorable, fun-filled world. This is a kind of little bit of a perspective on what you're going to get in. Hello, this is Koiwai Yotsuba. Yotsuba Koiwai. Yotsuba. Yotsuba moved out with our daddy to a new home from our old house way over there. And moving's fun because people wave. Oh! And Yotsuba met these nice people next door and made friends to play with. I hope we get to play a lot and eat ice cream and yeah, you should come play with Yotsuba too. If that doesn't sell you on this manga, not much else will. It basically embodies the spirit of manga. Enjoy everything. If I feel depressed, if I feel really down, this is one of the series I will definitely run towards, and I will read a chapter. It's so pure, it's so amazing, it's so much of those things that you learned when you were younger, but you kind of forgot all the way, you forgot how you learned it. And seeing this through the eyes of Yotsuba is one of those things, it's just such a good series. Personally, it's definitely in my top 10 manga of all time. I read the whole thing on Comixology, and then I went out and rebought the thing physically again once I realised I needed to own these. It's such a great series. Definitely check it out if you love manga. One of my must-reads, in my opinion. So, finally, we have this one. Now, it took me a while to decide on what I wanted for number one. I was tempted with Yotsuba, I was tempted with one of the classics. I was tempted to actually put the Shonen Jump on, but I thought it was a bit too obvious. But this one is one that it's ongoing, but when I see people collecting, they go for Berserk, or they go for Finland Saga, or they go for Vagabond, which are all great series and great ones to aspire to. But for me, the one that kind of linked me the most, the one I identified most with, was Golden Kamui. Now, this one mixes a lot of the stuff we've kind of spoken of so far. It has that historical aspect. It's the end of the Japanese Russo War. We have an adventure. We have treasure hunting. It's a seinen. We have a lot of dark stuff. These people are basically skinning convicts to find a treasure map. They're fighting bears. It's a food manga. That's right, it's also a food manga. It's very dark, it's very twisted, it's very over the top, it's very perverse. It's basically every single one of these that we kind of have had over the top 10 rolled into one. Yes, it even has stuff through the eyes of a child as a child kind of wonder kind to it every now and again. It's a mixture of just about everything, and quite possibly it's one of the greatest series I have read over the last few years. It's ongoing so far. There are 9 volumes out in English. There's about 18 volumes I think in Japan, and I think we've got enough content for 20. It's going to be here for quite some time, but dear God, it's amazing. If you like Berserk, if you like seinen, this one is on your must-to-read list. Definitely check it out. Please do. And I would recommend this to anybody who wants a mature title but don't know where to start. You're going to get a lot of perverse stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff that makes you feel sick. But it's great for that. I feel if you can get past this one, you can enjoy quite a lot of stuff. It's not perverse for the sake of being glorified. It's perverse because it's ridiculous. There's a taxidermist who has a fashion show with fair skinning people, for example. There's penis jokes and stuff like that, but it's pure. It's down to earth. It's dark. It's makes you hungry. But yeah, Golden Kamui is my #1 pick for newcomers or people trying to get into manga, and I would definitely recommend it for almost anybody who wants to read manga. Well, we've went on for quite some time with this. Thank you for coming, and if you reached this, thank you very much for staying. Now I'm putting it to you. What would you recommend as a must-read manga? What would you recommend to beginners or people trying to get back into manga? These are 10 of mine. There are plenty more that I would definitely recommend, and I will do another video eventually on that. But at the moment, these are the ones I kind of felt you must read, or these are great ones to get you into manga if you're considering collecting. Definitely check out some of the other stuff like the Shonen Jump app as well. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for staying, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.